I'm waiting for notification. Thank you again, Sister Katrina.
You're welcome.
I'm waiting for notification. Okay, and we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in for a special edition of Off the Record this evening. We have a great guest, someone who I've known for quite some time and who has always been just a great role model for everybody, but especially young women, and who does a great work in the community, and just a kind sister, Sister Katrina. Assalamu alaikum, ma'am.
Walaikum salam, sir.
Sister Katrina, let's get straight into it. I have been noticing some of the things on your Facebook page of you with just all kind of medical stuff. Could you please explain to me what I'm looking at when I see that on your timeline, and just help encourage us to get other people into your field?
Okay, yes, sir. I was blessed to be accepted into a medical sales college, which specializes in training people to do surgical medical device sales. And so essentially what I've been posting has been classwork that I have had to learn and essentially memorize in order to progress through the class, pass the class, and become a surgical medical device sales rep. And so what that means is I took a class specializing in orthopedics, extremities, as well as reconstruction and trauma. Now, what does all that mean is essentially I studied the foot and ankle, hand and wrist, elbow, shoulder, hip, and knee. All of those ortho sites. The only sites remaining would be the spine, and that's a totally different program. I did not enroll in that program. The program I was in was 12 weeks, and it was a combination program of extremities, orthopedic extremities, reconstruction, and trauma.
Excellent. Yes, ma'am. So, in layman's terms, for people who may not know or understand quite what that means, could you break that down?
Yes, I'll break it down even further. You know, your grandmother who's walking with a walker, and maybe she's having a lot of pain because she has arthritis in her hip area. Whenever she sits down, whenever she walks, it's not enough drugs that can really subside that pain. She's taking, you know, everything that she can take, but she's still in a lot of pain. So at this point, she needs to talk to the doctor, or probably has talked to an orthopedic surgeon about getting a hip replacement. And so the company that will provide the device to replace the hip bone, essentially, which is really the top of the femur that fits into your pelvis, right? It allows your legs to, you know, to walk. That area of that bone has degenerated, and it is no longer healthy bone, which is why she's having all the problems she's having. Essentially, the cartilage around the bone, which is a spongy type of material that provides protection for our bones and helps us to be able to walk and jog and not feel pain, because that bone is not rubbing on bone, right? It has cartilage that's protecting it from the impact. And so with grandma, that cartilage has now worn away, and she's feeling bone on bone pain, which is why she needs a hip replacement. And so that device that would go onto her bone, as well as into her pelvic bone, which would be the acetabulum, it fits in the acetabulum. That device is sold by a company that is considered a medical device company. And I have been trained on that surgery to walk doctors through how to do that surgery successfully. So your grandmother, when she comes out of that surgery, she will be happy, she will be healthy, she will be able to walk, because now she has a new hip bone that's helping her to walk better. So essentially, it's a device that fits in the body, more specifically the joints. So someone who needs a knee replacement, someone who needs an ankle replacement, a shoulder replacement, devices or in the wrist, those type of devices for the body. I will be selling those devices and representing them in surgery. And my job specifically is to know and memorize these surgeries, to help be in the room, the operating room, when the surgeries are occurring, to make sure that those surgeries occur correctly, that there are no mistakes. That's going to be very important, because just because a person goes to medical school, a lot of people don't know this, doesn't mean that they're trained on every single device that comes out. new devices come out every year. And so doctors don't go back to medical school to learn those surgeries and devices. They depend on the companies, and more specifically, the representatives that work for those companies, to train them on how to successfully do a surgery with that particular device. So that's what I will be doing moving forward in about 3 weeks.
Wonderful. Praise be to Allah. I want to say my sister Miriam and I both say walaikum salam, walaikum salam. I mean, assalamu alaikum, walaikum salam.
Oh, please return the greetings to them. Wa alaikum salam.
Yes, ma'am. Now, Sister Katrina, now that you do that, how can people who are, in order to get into your field, does someone have to have a master's degree? Do they have to have a degree in biology? What do they have to do in order to get into
Yeah, that's a very good question. I do think having a background or a degree in biology is very helpful, because the anatomy, knowing the anatomy going into this field is extremely important, and it will give you that edge. It will give you that advantage in the classroom as you're completing your certifications. So no, you do not need to have a master's degree. It is important that you have a bachelor's degree, because companies won't even hire you unless you have that. I went to school to become a teacher. So I thought my life was going to be going down the road of being an educator and an educator administrator or something along those lines. And life took me into all kind of different paths. And I ended up finding out that I have a love for medicine, and I have an understanding of it. And because I view sales very much like teaching, you're either teaching a product or you're teaching a service. And because I love teaching so much and I was trained on how to be a good teacher, I really combined the two fields. And that is the reason why I've been successful in my career. I really feel like I'm teaching the entire time, except now I'm teaching doctors and I'm teaching nurses. And I'm teaching physician assistants and all of those type of people that handle and work with patients. But yeah, no, you don't need to have a master's degree.
Excellent. And if someone wanted to go into this field who has a bachelor's degree, would you allow them to inbox you or reach out to you to see the steps they can take in order to go into this field?
Yes, they can inbox me. They can email me. My email is sisterkatrina@yahoo.com. That's spelled all the way out. Sister Katrina, my first name. You know, this industry is extremely lucrative. I really want your listeners and watchers to understand that. Coming into the industry, a new sales rep could potentially make around 150,000 to 300,000 their first year, and it progresses from there. My instructors informed me that they actually knew some sales reps that were making anywhere between 500,000 and 800,000 in a year, and that is very doable. There are two tracks essentially a sales rep can go. You can go the W-2 route and work with a medical device company, which is something that I'm doing. I was just hired for a company called Zimmer Biomet, and I start their training on Monday. And I complete their training in 3 weeks, and then I'll be in territory here in Chicago. Or you can go the 1099 route and work with a distributor. Now, what's the difference? A distributor works directly with the manufacturer. The manufacturer for, let's say, that hip device that we were talking about earlier, they don't have sales reps that work with their company. Their job is just to design and manufacture the medical device. So they're looking to sign a contract with a distributor who has the sales reps, and then they pay the distributor to sell their product. Now, the W-2 companies, they are a one-stop shop for their own products. They hire sales reps that work directly with the company. And the benefit with them is that they already have a database filled with customers that they send you to. They have a budget. They give you um, budgetary dollars every month to take doctors out or to spend on offices, things like that. When you're a 1099, they don't have those things. You have to build the business. But the benefit of the 1099 is once you build the business, you have a higher percentage of commission that you can demand because you did that work of building the business versus someone who is a W-2. So you really have to decide, you know, what is best for you based on yourself and the territory you work in. Now, if I had accepted a position in Detroit, Michigan, where I'm from, I probably would have did a 1099 because I still have some relationships there in terms of in the medical community that I can kind of pull on. But the fact that I'm here in a new town, a new city, I do not have relationships like that here in Chicago, and I need to build that. So that's why I signed up with Zimmer Biomet, so I can get that base basically from them and build from there. Now it doesn't limit me. I can decide to do a 1099 distributorship down the road. The only problem is they have you sign a non-compete clause. So that's something your viewers and listeners have to research. Once you are with a company, and let's say I'll be working in foot and ankle with Zimmer Biomet. If I decide to leave them a year from now, let's just say, right, it's not working out, I want to do something different, then they're going to have me sign a non-compete clause. And for about 2 years, maybe it's just a year, but for some reason in my mind, I'm thinking it's 2 years. I cannot work with another company, either a W-2 or 1099 in the foot and ankle business or industry. I can sell other products pertaining to orthopedics and other areas of the body, the knee, the hip, the shoulder, all those other areas I told you about earlier. I just can't sell foot and ankle because I would have been then breaching my non-compete clause and then I could be sued. So you do have to be very careful when you sign up with a company that you understand what you're doing, what you'll be selling, and what the contract is for. Because if you decide to leave, you know, you need to adhere to that so you won't have any other repercussions down the road.
Wonderful. Excellent. Yes, ma'am. And Sister Katrina, what advice would you give to students who are in college who are deciding on a major or deciding on a career path? Should their degree determine, like you said, you went in for education but wound up in the field you are in now? Should it
Right.
should they go for passion, or would you recommend they go for financial gain?
I'm fortunate that what I'm doing is my passion, and it also is going to give me a financial gain. I think the best thing to do as a young person is to look for both of those. You don't want to get stuck in a situation saying, I'm going to work in my passion, and yet you are financially, um, in dire straits. You don't want to be in that situation because let's face it, we eat with cash. I had a mentor tell me that a long time ago, that it might be things that you love to do, but at the end of the day, when you go to the grocery store, you go to get your gas or whatever, cash is king. We need to have that in this country to move about and make moves and do what we need to do. Now, once you solidify yourself financially and you get a good footing, let's say you immediately go into buying real estate or something like that, that can kind of sustain you, then you can have some fun and maybe do some things that you're passionate about that may not be lucrative, but you're passionate about it. But I mean, in the beginning, you have to eat, and you can't depend on your family, nor should you, um, for your entire life. I mean, you have to be able to stand on your own 2 feet and take care of yourself. My grandmother would say, God blesses the child who has his own. So yes, our families are there. Our friends might be there to support us and love us, but we should not take advantage of that. We should be able to stand on our own 2 feet. So I really think someone in school should be thinking about the best of both worlds, something they're passionate about, but that they can make money in at the same time so that they can take care of themselves and their family. But particularly for this industry that I'm in, I would say, believe it or not, English is a very good degree to have because it is well-rounded. It will teach you how to speak properly. It will help you be able to write properly, which when you're doing business proposals or business plans, you need to know how to write properly. It will help you have a strong understanding of reading comprehension. So it's not a problem for me to get some of these technical medical journals and things that I have to read and get right down to what I need to know. And knowing and understanding how to break those journals down to get the fruit of the information of what I need and what I need to communicate to my customer. How do I know how to do that? Is because I understand English and I understand how to read. And I have a very strong reading background. So a lot of people underestimate having an English degree, but I really think people should consider that because an English degree, most people who get an English degree also tend to go to law school or places like that. So it's just really, or even they tend to go into communications. They end up on television as news broadcasters and people like that who have really good diction and they can articulate very well. So an English degree is just really well-rounded. So I highly recommend that. I recommend for the medical industry, definitely a biology, either major or minor, because again, knowing and understanding the anatomy can help you in any direction where you want to go. If you decide sales is not for you, but you want to be a X-ray tech or something like that, which they make very good money, or you want to become a scrub tech. These are the people in the operating room that hand the surgeons all of the equipment. You've probably seen them on television when the doctor says, scalpel, please, right? Someone is there, they're glued, they have the mask on, and they're handing the doctor, the surgeon, the equipment that they need to complete that surgery. Well, that person is called a scrub tech, and they actually have to get a certificate. They have to get a certificate and pass test or what have you in their field of knowing every single surgical instrument, the difference between them. And when a doctor calls or asks for a special type of scalpel or scissor, it is up to them to know which one to hand to the doctor and to make sure that surgical field, which is the operating room or where the equipment is, stays clean. That's very, very important. That is the scrub tech's job. So that's a job in and of itself. I mean, we think about medicine and we think nurses, doctors. That's pretty much it. But there are tons of jobs. I mean, even medical billing, that's a job in and of itself. That's a certificate job as well. You have to be certified to do that. You have to be trained on how to do that. And they make very good money. And many of them work from home. So, I mean, it's just so many different jobs in the medical industry that I think we don't know about because they're not talking about these jobs in school. And I guess enough job in helping to spread the word. So that's why I'm so excited and thankful that you asked me to speak tonight to your guests, because I'm passionate about making sure that, okay, I have an opportunity, but I want to open the door up for the next brother, the next sister, you know, to have that same opportunity. And the only way they're going to have it is if they know about it. Yeah.
Excellent. I want to say that Sister Miriam says very informative. Thank you for sharing. Welcome Salam, Brother Jimmy from San Antonio. Thank you all for watching. And welcome Salam, Sister Tracy. Thank you for always showing love. And Brother Earl, our great photographer brother from Philadelphia. Thank you for showing love as well. Sister Katrina.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. I want to just thank you for sharing this information with us. I know I asked you for a specific topic and subject, and we'll just ask that, you know, maybe within the next month or so that you can come back up so we can hear more about your personal life and you growing up in Detroit and your parents and where you came from and how you got into the nation and all of that. Would you come back for part 2, Sister Katrina?
I would love to come back for part 2 because my life in Detroit was quite interesting. I went to a private school in the beginning, which is called Detroit Country Day. Some of the Michiganders that are listening may be familiar with that school. Very posh, way out in Birmingham, Bloomfield Hills, whatever, right? I was like the only Black child in the room. No, maybe it was like one other person. And then from there, I went to St. Mary's of Retford, which is a Catholic school. And then from there, I went to Henry Ford High School, which was a Detroit public school. So I had private, Catholic, and around. types of people as a child, and I gained from that experience. And I would love to share with your listeners about that experience, about how the black girl from Detroit was able to succeed and conquer in this medical. So excited to talk about that. So yes, I would definitely come back to talk about. And thank you for wearing that Detroit Lions cap, by the way.
You see that, right?
And I was like, I just noticed that. I was like, that's the Detroit Lions cap. Thank you for doing that.
No problem. It's all love. Barry Sanders, one of my favorite running backs of all time. So I appreciate that. But and everyone who's watching, thank you all very much. I want to say that this podcast is brought to you by my sister here, I Love Me, and her future coloring book is going to be on Amazon. My brother Rashad and his business partner Jamal, their video production team, street premiere, and also my second book, which is a children's book, Cleopatra, is on Amazon. For everyone who's watching on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and or YouTube, if you want me to sponsor, if you want to be a sponsor of the episode, let me know. J Imagination on Cash App, and if you have a business you want me to promote, let me know. Thank you, Sister Katrina.
Thank you so much, Brother Josh. You're doing such a good job. I really appreciate your broadcast. I've been watching what you're doing, so I'm so thankful, and may Allah continue to bless you.
Yes, may Allah continue to bless you as well. And I hope that people listen to those numbers that you were saying, 150,000, 300. I mean, come on now.
Yes, I mean, this is serious. It's serious. I'm not making this up. They could Google it if they want to. Tell them to Google medical device sales reps and just Google it, and they will see what the potential of earnings are. And it will be, I think, quite impressive to them. Quite impressive. But you do have to get your training, because if you just try to go in and say, oh, well, I have a sales job and I've done sales, that job, I think I have to go get that training that Katrina was talking about. Okay, you could try that. Clear that training and or experience, right? So how do you get experience if they won't hire you? That's the thing. I mean, many of the people in this industry that have been getting these jobs have been Caucasian males. No doubt about it. But I think with the diversity of many of these doctors in terms of Indian, Black, Asian, Latino, they are demanding that the sales industry become diverse as well. And so it's because of the pressure, I believe, from the doctors, which are the customers, by the way. These device companies are now being forced to take a second look at their sales force and apply some diversity, for sure. But I think it's slow because I was the only Black female in my class. So that was uncomfortable at times because it was some of them, they just, they couldn't handle that. They could not handle that. But hopefully, inshallah, it'll be more of us that will be interested in this industry and will decide to go in it. It's not a piece of cake. It's not easy. I had long hours of study. I had a lot of tests. The tests were over 100 questions sometimes. I mean, it was a lot of work, and even more work for me because I didn't have that biology background. I was a pharmaceutical sales rep. I don't know if I mentioned that. I was a pharmaceutical sales rep a few years back, and I did that for about 9 years. And that's how I found out about medical device sales, from that position, right? But I didn't have the anatomy background that I really needed to make this class that I took a piece of cake. It was a lot of work. So, I don't want your listeners or your followers or watchers to underestimate that or to get a misunderstanding like, oh, you just go, you take this class, no. You need to understand the class that I took was from 7:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Then we had homework many times, or I had homework just because I had a test that Friday and I had to study. That meant I was up to around 11 or 12 a.m. studying. Okay. And then eventually, fell asleep, only to turn around, wake back up and do it all over again. And then the weekends, people, there were people in my class that went out and went to bars and things like that. We're not into that, but that was their thing. And of course, they struggled come Monday when it was time to take the test, right? So, I mean, you could do whatever it is you want to do, right? But if you want to be successful and if you want to excel, you have to put the time in. So in my class, I was the only one who got hired before I even graduated, and I also was awarded MVP for the class.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Due to Allah, let me tell you. But I mean, I worked for that, no doubt about it. So I'm so thankful that Allah saw that work that I put in and decided to bless me. But it is work. Okay. So if someone is watching this and they're saying, oh, I'd like to make, 200, 300,000, 500,000. I'd like to go to surgeries and be in the room and direct people on how to do it. And that sounds like fun. Okay. But just know that you have to know your stuff. Just understand you have to study. You have to be prepared. You have to show up. You have to be there early. I mean, all of these things, because, I mean, you're on the spot. It's when it's time for surgery, there's no, oh, we're going to wait for Katrina to show up. No, I have to be there. I have to have been there at least an hour early, made sure all of the devices were there, all of the equipment was there. So the scrub tech, who basically I check in with, has everything that the surgeon needs. That's very important. So, if you're not a punctual person, if you are not a detailed oriented person, maybe, this is not for you, right? And that's okay. It might be some other medical position that you might be interested in. But people do need to know that. I don't want to mislead anyone in making them think, oh, this is, But with that said, let me say this. When my manager interviewed me, and he happened to ask me about one of their products, right? And I had some notes on it. I had already researched the company, right? He said to me, you know more than some people that are currently doing this job in the territory, and you are still a student. So yes, we could put that pressure on ourselves, but know and understand that some of these other people that's out here, no, they knew somebody, they're friends with somebody. Their dad golfs with somebody, and that's how they got the job. Not because they put the time in, the effort, but many times with us, that's not how it goes. That's not how it goes. So we do still need to do all of that work, even though they may not have had to do that. But it's okay, because in this industry, it's intelligence that wins the end of the day. Doctors do not want to be sued, and they definitely don't want to have some bad situation happen in the surgery that their rep can't get them out of. So they want the best in that room with them. So it's not about, oh, your dad golfs with my dad, or, we know each other from the tennis club or whatever. No. It's about who is going to be the best person in that room to help me in case I have a situation. And so doctors appreciate intelligence, and that's what wins the day. So that's important. We just have to be the smartest person in the room, which is not hard for us because, we're the original man and the original woman. So, as long as we understand that, it'll be all good. But yeah, this is a fun industry. It is a lot of work, yes, but it's a lot of fun as well. And it's a lot of freedom, and it is very lucrative. So I really hope your viewers consider medical device sales, because it's worth it. It's worth taking a second look. And I hope parents who are watching this get an opportunity to research the industry and expose their children to it as well. It may not be for them, but it's important that they at least know about it, so then they can make an intelligent decision down the road.
Well, wonderful. I want to thank you all for watching, and thanks, Sister Katrina. Who's always been nice and just a great woman in the community. And
thank you so much. All praises due to Allah. All praises due to Allah. Thank you so much, my brothers.
Yes, ma'am. Please extend greetings to your family on behalf of myself and my family.
Yes, please give everybody the greetings in Atlanta. I miss Atlanta. All the believers. I tell them now I'm in Chicago. I have a whole new city. But yes, sir. Thank you so much. I look forward to the second invite, part 2. I really enjoyed this. Thank you so much. I feel blessed that you even asked me to share this information. So thank you so much again, Brother Josh, and keep up the good work. You're doing fantastic. So keep it up.
I'm trying. All right, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, sir.